Forgive me, guys, because I just woke up. But the Lord is so powerfully speaking to me this morning, and I want to share this video message. It's called The Gospel of Our Own Soul. And I'm in Thessalonians, 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. I woke up this morning and I had so many thoughts of all of the different things that I have my hand in right now. And I'm a thinker, I'm a processor, and I'm a project manager. I love to think through the vision I'm a visionary. So I think through different things that need to go on, especially websites. You build them. They're like a construction site, right? You have to plan from start to finish all the materials you need, the creativity, the vision, and then execute it, build it, plan, all present it, get the client approval to go live, make the final edits on it, and push it live. So it's a whole process. So my brain works in that way. I love to think about different circumstances and how I have my hand in so many things, like remodeling the conference room, training my account manager, possibly hiring an SEO expert. That will be a remote job. So if any gals actually do SEO, or especially anything inside of Google Search Console, or of someone, please refer them to me or comment below in the video. And then I'm also looking for somebody locally to be another assistant designer. So I have my head in all of these thoughts, right? And I have a lot of loose ends. And I heard the Lord say this morning, Sarah, let go of the loose ends. Let go. And what are loose ends? Loose ends are details that are not yet settled or explained. And I had God kind of nudge me on this actually a couple weeks ago. And if you want to see Rumor, here's my little baby. I was sort of thinking about it. I was like, what if I just went into work and just was happy, didn't micromanage it, didn't plan the whole day ahead of time. I just went and had a great time, because honestly, I want to have fun. I wrote this down. I want to have fun. I want to be creative. I want to laugh and sing and dance, and I want to share my wisdom. And I kind of just want to show up and do that. You know what I mean? And then if everything just crashes and burns, or it all falls apart, that was in my mind, what if, and God's really teaching me that to be a good boss and to be a good leader, you kind of just have to take the thing that you've built, that you've prepared it as much as you can, and hand it off and say, here's everything all prepared for you, all ready for you. Kind of how God does. This is God's talking to me as I'm explaining this, kind of how God does with our life, right? And he's like, here's the purpose I have for you. I've prepared it all for you. Here are the instructions in the Bible. Here it is. Read your Bible so you know how to get to XYZ, places in your life that I've purposed you for. I've given you all the tools: prayer, fasting, communion, worshiping, forgiveness. I've given you all the tools. Now it's up to you to walk in it, right? It's up to my employees to carry that and to, take the responsibility in their own hands and walk it out and work, right? And if it all falls apart, just, call my name and I'll come over and we'll figure out XYZ emergency situation. We'll fix it. No big deal. So he's been teaching me that that's the best way to have leadership, and to not covet things, right? So I said, God, help me in my coveting. I repent and I release all these outcomes to you, right? Because they're loose ends. They're not settled or explained yet. And then he took me to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 2, where it says, but as we were allowed of God to be put, and this is, Paul talking about the church in Thessalonia, this letter that he's writing, he says, but as we were allowed of God to be put in trust with the gospel, even so we speak, not as pleasing men, but God, which trieth our hearts. So that really stood out to me, that I have had to let go of a lot of, as I'm thinking about doing these videos where I'm going to be filming myself talking about, how I got here in my business and all the things that I've gone through and how I'm going to go public with it. A lot of the reason why I haven't gone public with it is because I've had to cut off a lot of people. I've had to separate myself. And then God reminded me, Sarah, this isn't for you to hold on to and covet or care about or overthink, because you're not pleasing them. You're pleasing me. I'm not pleasing men. I'm pleasing God. And I have consistently. And in this hurt in my heart for why some of these relationships had to end, that I had to cut off, some of them got violent and some of them just like went silently into the night, and I just never got back to people. And so God has been trying my heart in this place where I see the pains that people, once you get so high up in elevation on a mountain with God, you can see very easily what people are going through. And you're like, if they just surrendered, if they just forgave so-and-so, if they just got out of that job, if they just got out of that relationship, if they just stopped, being carnally minded, they'd be so much more free. They'd be so much happier. They just stopped worrying about their finances all the time and surrendered it to the Lord. If they just tithed, if they just started worshiping, if they just started praying and actually being obedient. All these things that I see from people from high up, right? We see them on people and we're like, man, we're not being judgmental, right? We're just seeing it for what it is because we're pleasing God. We're not pleasing men. So we have to separate ourselves from them. Man, this is good. So then I kept reading, and it says in verse 5, for neither at any time used we flattering words, as ye know, nor a cloak of covetousness. God is witness. And there's that again, that covet word, covetousness, or a cloak of covetousness. So then I was like, what is a cloak of covetousness? And it's manipulation, really. And it's true. In these relationships with people, because I've been reflecting on this as I'm preparing to do these videos and talk about certain things, right? Because certain things are going to come up, and so-and-so is going to know so-and-so and be like, well, Sarah used to talk to this person. They know you. And I just stopped talking to them, right? Why'd that happen? Well, I cared for them, but I wasn't ever manipulative to them. I didn't have a cloak of covetousness with them. So just as they came in my life in peace, they left my life in peace. I wasn't coveting them. I wasn't coveting their conversation, as many women in my life have done, that demonically saw that bloodline curse over my life of envy that started with my mother's mother envying her, and then my mother envying me, and then it was on me. It was in my bloodline for these women to hold on to my conversations and take up my time, because I have a lot of wisdom and I'm fun and I'm a great counselor and I'm a great friend and I keep secrets. I don't just go sharing people's information. I have a lot of dirty laundry I could have aired about these people that I stopped talking to. But I don't do that because I'm not pleasing men. I'm pleasing God. I'm not pleasing myself and ending these friendships. I'm not pleasing myself and ending these relationships. But they left my life in peace, just as they came to me in peace. So I'm in this place where I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let go of the loose ends. And it's not for my glory, right? So verse 6 says, nor of men sought we glory, neither of you, nor yet of others. But when we might have been burdensome as the apostles of Christ. But we were gentle among you, even as a nurse cherisheth her children. I have been very gentle with people. I have been very generous with people. Have I received that in return? No. That tries my heart. That's very hard for me. But that's reality. I'm not pleasing men. I am pleasing God. I'm not going to put these stories on Facebook handwritten out about what happened XYZ with me and you. Not going to do that. Because that's not where my heart's at. My heart is with the Lord. So, being affectionately desirous of you, I was willing to have imparted unto you, not only, and this is true for all of those girlfriends that I had to cut out of my life, I was not only willing to impart unto you the gospel of God only, but I was willing to impart unto you the gospel of my own soul. I have been through abusive relationships. I have ended certain friendships because I believe in waiting until marriage to have sex. That is God's law. And it keeps me safe because of my testimony, because of the things that I have been through, but also because I know my worth and my value. And all but one girlfriend couldn't do that, could not walk in agreement with me on that. And I didn't shove it down their throat. I didn't ever blame them. Girl conversations happen, right? You're dating a guy. What's happening? Okay, you're on date 3. Now you're sleeping with him in his bed. Of course, he's not calling you back. Of course, he's texting you like sporadically now, not as consistently. We've talked about this. We've had very deep conversations about it. It's up to you. Sounds like you want to follow Jesus, but you like the idea of following Jesus and in his footsteps, but you're not really actually willing to commit to that because you're talking to a man who's still married. Yes, he's going through a divorce, but that's adultery, and I've told you that. See these conversations? See this laundry? This is my own soul. I've shared deep, deep things about the personal things that I have been through in my abusive relationships with these women. And with people that, I wanted to go take with me in my business and in my mentorship. And they took advantage of my time and my generosity and my gentleness. And the judgment of the Lord is not only with God, but it is with those who keep his covenants. So this is the gospel of our own soul. And I know that many people on here can relate to this. It's not easy, but we're not wearing a cloak of covetousness. God's trying our hearts because we're not here to please men. We're here to please God. I love you all. Be blessed.